Okay, so we ran the HM1 the other day, and it ran for over an hour on like less than a quarter tank of fuel probably. But now that I'm satisfied that it runs, we're going to do a few modifications here, and I will do a full rundown of all the modifications I made in a future video after I've finalized and tested them. So the plug is filthy from our run the other day, loaded with carbon and a little wet, so that probably explains why it was so hard to get it to keep it running and get it to restart later. One neat feature I noticed, which is interesting, but I don't necessarily think it's like, I understand why they did it, but I think that it would have been nicer if they had actually put a filler neck on. The tanks for the ET series, they silver solder, or they solder those tanks together with the solid ends, and they solder a filler neck into the top of the tank. And then this cap, actually I have a just off camera, so you can see these caps are, there we go. This one here is the HM1, and this one I just grabbed off the ET8. They have the same thread, but the ET series has a longer thread because it goes into a filler neck, and this HM1 has the knurling and then an imitation filler neck and then the threads. So yeah, I just like the idea of the filler neck, because then when you fill the tank you can leave the level below the filler neck, but this big wide tank, if you fill it to the top of here and then put the cap in, it's always a little overfull. So alright, time for modifications. So there's two things that I want to do right away. Well, three I've already got planned. So I'm going to take the latch out here, flip that arm out of the way. Alright. There we go. I put away my tools because I thought I was gonna neaten up this table and have to do something else on it, but instead I'm working here again. So slip this arm out. I took this washer, yep, washer, it's M4 maybe. I just found it in my stash of washers. I folded it in half and I glued it in place here, and you can see it sticks out a little bit past the original latch. I need to grind this off a little bit because it sticks out far enough that when you flip the lever up here to hold the latch out, it's so close to the hook spot that it can still it can push this lever backwards. It can push this lever backwards and hold the exhaust valve open even when the lever is supposed to be holding it out of the way and letting the engine run free. So we'll adjust that and just level it off with the original spot on the arm. And then I'm going to take the exhaust off here and trim this gasket to take the... Actually, I might just take the gasket out. I don't know how well that needs to seal, and having this ground tab here is unnecessary since I grounded underneath the body of the engine, and that seems to be working. So those are 1.5 millimeter. So all right. There. That's that. We'll set that aside. Put that in with these spare parts from the engine. And then the last thing that we need to take a look at is the ignition contacts here. So I'm going to find... Nope. There we go. So the issue is that, oh, there is a spring detent behind this lever. I thought that this screw was what's holding the... So, fun discovery, there's a spring detent behind there. That's the screw that holds this in place. Okay. That means I need to take... So you can see there's a screw in here. That's what holds the bracket in place. So I'm going to have to pop the front off here. I'm going to turn this around so that the ignition is resting. All right. So the problem that I am trying to solve is that, oh, that's probably it. So I'm trying to adjust the ignition so it's at top dead center, and when I was doing that I couldn't get it to go any further. But if we can look very carefully, that round bit is the pin, and this bit of insulation is up around the contact there. So I get a knife and trim that back so it doesn't stick proud of the contact here, And if it's not sticking proud of the contact, then I should be able to bend this rear contact a bit more. So that I can get closer to top dead center instead of the 5 or 10 degrees advanced I have right now. But, oh, both of those hold this in place. All right. Oh. I do not want to deal with putting this detent lever together, so now that I have this rotating, right, so I have this bracket rotating, I can get in there to very carefully loosen and remove the other contact. So when I was bending this before, I was trying to be very careful because I didn't want to break the connection spot in the plastic bracket, but by taking this out, I can now get a hold of this with a pair of pliers and gently bend it without worrying about breaking that bit of plastic. So I need to go get an X-Acto knife to trim this rubber piece, and I'm going to get a second forceps so that I can grab like this and grab the other. Actually, I'm going to just push on that by hand. Alright. I still need to go get actually, I have my pocket knife on this table someplace. There it is. There we go. So this piece is there. All right, now you can see I trimmed the bit of insulation that was sticking up over the contact, and now that whole contact is completely unobstructed so that when I'm adjusting this it'll work better. But this is a fancy piece of shrink tubing that they punched a hole in and then placed on here and shrunk over the contact, which is pretty good. While I have this out, see it's cut here from where they bent it because they clearly are putting it on and then bending the piece to shape after they put the contact in. So I might be I might grab another piece of shrink tube and put it over and around to this part to hold this part together, just so it doesn't keep breaking all the way up. But right now, let's get this back together and see if I've moved the ignition the way I want to. So that's too big. This is the 1.5. All right. Now the go. There we go. All right, now we got that in there. So this short one does the main holding, and this other one here mostly keeps this lever on, and you can't over tighten it or that nice spring detent behind there will quit working. So, and now didn't know that my socket there was magnetized. All right. On there, through there. Alright, and hold the top end so when you tighten this, it doesn't. So when you tighten the screw, you have to watch out to make sure that it doesn't rotate that tab too far. Alright, so there's top dead center. Looks like those are touching. So let's take our spark plug and put that in there, and oh, I gotta get some batteries to test this. Okay, so batteries. All right, that is bottom dead. Here comes top dead center. All right. Not getting a spark every time. So Try that. There we go. Got a spark location, and you can see it is, well, it's hard to see from this angle, but right here it is 0 or 5 degrees top dead center, and before I was between 10 and 15, so it's kind of like that, and now it's up here. So that is much better. And I think that the problem I had was that bit of rubber or insulation that was covering the point. So that is that. Took that out. Need to grab a file and file this and put it back in, but those quick mods, and I think we're ready to try again and see how slow we can get this to run.